You got in quickly. That was fast.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to send out these quick. Let's see.
Beautiful. Now we're cooking with gas.
Get all your fancy backgrounds.
Hey, you have one.
You have
Yahoo.
one too, Russell.
All right, let me look. Let me look. See if I even know.
Darren,
what buttons
is
to
yours
click.
the backwards one?
Oh, do I have, is my, it doesn't look backwards? Is
Oh
it
no,
backwards?
you're good. You're good.
Is
Oh.
mine backwards?
No,
No.
this is not.
Judah.
I was like, oh crap.
But in the email, is it the one that looks backwards or not backwards?
It's the not backwards one.
I shared it into the Everbridge email too as well. Like it's a shared drive. It's in a shared drive.
Okay, I'm gonna get this link sent out to a couple people.
Yep, I'm doing the same thing.
Anybody want to tell me what buttons to click to change my background? The video?
Yeah. Go to your video, bottom left corner is button says video with a little like pointy arrow going up like that.
Got it.
And then hit choose virtual background.
Darren's also the IT guy.
Seriously.
I don't know. Judah was the one who made these backgrounds. I put them up yesterday on my Zoom calls and people were like, whoa, backgrounds. They're like legit. And I was like, I know.
Judah made swag too.
I know.
Nice.
Yeah. Send them out to the participants.
Okay.
I think Matt. Oh yeah, there she is. I'm gonna say Maggie's coming in.
Awesome. Yeah, I just sent a bunch out.
Russell, you feeling pretty good with your new background?
Dude, I do. Like, kind of feel like I shouldn't be wearing a hat and like I should have some.
I know, guys. I
title
did
or
my hair
something.
for you guys. You should be proud.
That's so special.
Yeah, Lauren, he doesn't do his hair for anybody, just an FYI.
Yeah, no one. Not even my wife.
Russ, I think yours might be backwards.
Now he's gone.
There he's gone.
Back. Is it? So it looks straight to me. Is it backwards to you?
Yeah, it's backwards.
You picked the
Okay.
wrong one. You got to pick the one that looks backwards to you.
Okay. What a deal. How's that work?
It's just a simple mirror, Russell, just like you're looking in the mirror.
Okay. I won't ask too many questions.
There we go.
Okay. I think it should be sent out to everybody.
So that was gonna do too.
And then I'll grab the recording from you, Darren, at the end, and then I can send those out too.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just trying to send this out to a bunch of people.
Miss Maggie, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to see the team. I'm excited to hear what you guys have been up to.
Nice to meet you, Maggie. Thanks for joining us.
Maggie, I feel like we've connected before.
Yes, Judah, you and I, and my husband, we jumped on a call about a month and a half ago about a business that we were thinking about acquiring. And
right.
you're it's about the bridge loan opportunities that you have to bridge the gap between getting the SBA loans closed. So we're following up. We're here in Tampa though. We had the two hurricanes come by, so that's kind of slowed down a little bit of the deal making. So,
Absolutely. Is everything good on your end?
yes.
Good to hear. It's nice seeing you again.
Good seeing you too.
Okay, I should have the link up to everybody that I had signed up. So,
I was trying to throw together just a quick.
Get a screenshot of this. This looks pretty cool, and but it's stacked
Yeah.
like this.
All right. Who did we lost someone? Let's see.
Somebody needs to turn up the heat. It's like cold in here. Yeah. I think it's like 56 degrees in my office.
Are you asking one of us to turn up the heat from the other side of the country? Russell? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, who's in charge of that? Because it's a little too chilly.
Well, I guess we can start. I know we don't have a ton of people in here yet, but if we want to kind of just start going through stuff, and obviously we can redo another one. I get.
yeah, I'm just posting it on my story real quick.
Oh, yeah, you got a lot of traction on that Facebook post, Judah.
I did. Part of me wonders too, like there was a few people that wanted to do it, but they had work. So I think on the next one we should do is we'll have to do an evening
Like an evening one.
run at it. Yeah.
Okay, I've got a friend that said she's joining now.
Ryan, you want to switch the link on our
Insta?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
type a what?
What's
Maggie,
up,
are you
Emily?
already? Hey, Emily, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us.
How's the pregnancy going?
It is going really well. Thanks for
You
asking.
doing well? Not too much morning sickness or anything?
No more.
She is glowing.
Oh,
Awesome. Good for you.
yeah.
And is that Eduardo?
yeah.
There we go. I'm here. Okay, so he's at work. So yeah, that's what I was trying to play with, is it better during the day or later in the evening? So I think the next ones we'll do in the evening.
Yeah.
We hop in, just kind of get the ball rolling. What do we think?
Yeah, let's just jump in.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. My name is Lauren Honeycutt, and we have the Everbridge team here. We have Judah, Ryan, Russell, and Darren that all have years and years of experience that you get that come along with this co-lending experience, this opportunity. So I just kind of want to get a feel for who's here with us today. Is there anyone that's currently private money lending? You can either drop a 1 in the chat, and if you are interested in becoming a private money lender, if you can drop a 2 in the chat. Okay. Just get them. Oh, we've got Sophie that joined us.
Hey everyone. Hey Lauren.
Hey, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of
Sorry I'm late.
course. No worries. We were wrestling a little bit with trying to switch over to the new link.
Oh, cool.
So whether you're new or seasoned, I think we can all agree that private money lending isn't always as passive as it is pushed off to be. So that is where Everbridge comes into play. So they do all the lack of deal flow, the underwriting, the back office headaches, dealing with the inexperienced borrowers that you get when you're on that private money lending journey on your own. That's where coming into play, coming and doing the co-lending opportunity with Everbridge. That's where they bridge the gap in, not having those headaches anymore. So I will kind of let Ryan and Judah and Russell and Darren go ahead and touch on all the day-to-day stuff that they do and what that looks like. And we will take any questions that you guys have.
Cool. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit further about what it is we do. So as Lauren mentioned, we are a private money lender. And the opportunity we have in front of us is to partner with other lenders as co-lenders. And we're actually very excited about our product that we've, taken about a year now to put this thesis together. And the product itself is a short-term bridge loan that fills the gap of the necessary liquidity to facilitate to support this transfer of wealth that's going on, right? I'm sure everybody has seen or heard something about this transfer of wealth where baby boomers are selling their businesses or the businesses are changing hands. And what we derived after a lot of research is there's not enough viable financing options to support that, right? Whether it's via the SBA on an acquisition, which could take 6 to 9 months, or you're borrowing from grandma, and there's just not enough liquidity to close that gap. So that's where Everbridge comes in and our bridge loan product comes in, right? So we can provide up to 100% financing to borrowers who are looking to acquire businesses. And then we partner with the SBA on the back end to work to get the borrower out into long-term financing in a matter of a few months. So our product can come in, provide that 100% financing, allowing the borrower to close quickly, not bring any of their own liquidity to the table, undercut the competition because they're essentially offering an all-cash offer. And then Darren works seamlessly with the borrowers to transfer them into long-term financing, which is typically the SBA. So from a lending side, we will act as the lead lender, where, as Lauren mentioned, we will do a lot of the heavy lifting, all of the back office. We have combined 20 plus years in private credit and private equity. And we're looking to partner with co-lenders to monetize portions of our loan to create more of a secure atmosphere in regards to our lending product.
Thank you, Ryan. Darren, do you want to kind of touch on what that process looks like from your perspective?
Yeah. Thanks for joining. For those who know me, I know Emily does. I am the Chief Investment Officer here at Everbridge, and so ultimately, my main job is to really kind of dig into every business, and I call this the underwriting process or due diligence process. It's kind of poke holes in the problems that this business might have, both from a financial perspective and an operational process. So whether that is an operational inefficiency within the existing sellers, or potentially an issue with the borrowers who is taking our loan, and just underwriting to make sure they are capable of acquiring the new business, right? The last thing you really want to do is have someone to take on a $500,000 or $1 million loan, right? And actually not be capable or have the background to actually take over that business, right? And then that actually would jeopardize essentially our bridge loan, right? So if a decrease in revenue happens during the process of our bridge loan, or too much, I should say, a substantial decrease, right? It could jeopardize the exit on our bridge loan, right? So for us not to only underwrite the business itself from a financial perspective, but also to underwrite our borrower is a very important part. And I work hand in hand with Russell really to kind of, I would jokingly say we are the dream killers, right? So if you're here looking to buy a business, right, we typically will kill the dream of buying that business because we want to poke all the holes possible to make sure that, like it's a solid situation for someone to acquire the business, right? But also the business itself can support the debt service, right? So we go, pretty deep in depth into that underwriting process. We look at corporate docs, we look at liens, liabilities, assets throughout this business venture. And so it's not, you know, it's not the best of jobs because you have to unfortunately give some people the bad news, but it is also the best job because when you give someone the good news, right? They're pretty excited when you say, hey, this business actually has some legs to stand on, but so do you, right? And I think that's really a fun opportunity for us to provide is one, we do kill dreams, we also can make dreams come true, right? And so that's kind of the beauty in what we do and how diligently work through it. The beauty is we can usually work a little bit faster because we are a little bit more tight knit and we meet so often that we can really communicate pretty quickly to streamline that conversation and get deals closed in about 45 60 days, right? Where if you were to go take a business to an SBA lender, they might tell you they can close it in 45 60 days, but when you actually look at the track record of an SBA lender or even an SBA broker lender, they will never get across the finish line in 60 days, right? So they're traditionally closer to like a 75-day plus kind of a situation. So very few deals actually get to the closing line in 60 days with an SBA. So we actually have that ability. So our product is super safe. It's solid. We underwrite it from head to toe, kind of a situation. And the best part about our bridge loan product is we actually put an exit lender in place prior to us actually closing on our bridge loan. So that's one of the best security pieces that we have is we already have someone in place that says, hey, even though you haven't even closed on your loan, we'll still take out your loan, right? And those things do take time through the due diligence, but we put a nice package together for our preferred SBA lenders so that they can underwrite very quickly and give us an answer and a response back if they want to go ahead and what we call like green light our deal or not. So with that being said, that's a little bit about what we do. And I'll kind of kick that back over to Judah and he can kind of give some more insight about kind of the deal origination piece of it and what we look for from the deal origination side.
Yeah, and I think kind of going off of that, what very similar to what Ryan and Darren said is, we want to be very specific with what we do, right? So we make the joke that those two, that Darren and Russell are the dream killers, but the reality is we want to put borrowers in a good position so that when they exit from us, they're set up for success. And I think going back to the advantage of what Darren was touching on was you're putting offers in a competitive market where you're not trying to sit there and negotiate seller finance and do a carry note and do all this other stuff. We're coming in and doing a full cash offer for people like this. So it also makes you look more legit as a borrower coming in and going after one of these deals because you can put that offer in. So I think that's what's really cool as if we go back to the co-lending side of stuff is where your money's going is into stuff that one, we're not moving forward on a deal unless we know it's got a green light on the backside. The borrower's got a green light on the backside. So we're making sure that they're successful during this time too, right? So we're not just handing over the cash from us and going, all right, have fun. We'll see you in 6 months. We're really trying to walk through that process to make sure that people are set up successful. And I think that's what makes our product so different compared to other private money, deals and things like that is those are all theoreticals. When you're in the real estate world, I'll give you an example. I've got a deal that's been, we put money on, last year in St. Pete, Florida. So we all know how well that's probably working out right now for us. And that's the thing is like, when you go into that world, you have a very theoretical hope that it's going to be successful. Our product is not like that. We're talking a 99.9% accuracy as far as what we're going to give and promise, right? And yes, there's going to be hiccups. There might be some issues that arise, but as far as the lending portion of it, we already know what that exit is set up for, and we're already prepared for that. We're vetting the borrowers, we're vetting the business, right? So there's a lot of protection that goes back in on that when it comes to the acquisition side of stuff. So I think, Sophie, I think you had a question.
Yeah. Hey, Judah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So then when you guys are doing the SBA, is that something that the company is refinancing out the SBA, or is that something the borrower needs to refinance out?
Darren, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. So in theory, it's not technically our responsibility to refinance out the loan, but we offer a white glove service from head to toe kind of a situation, right? So,
Okay.
from all the way if you need us to help you underwrite the deal, we can help you with that, right? If you want us to generate an LOI for you, we can help you with that. If you need a purchase contract or an attorney to draft that, we can help you with that. You need a CPA, we can help you with that piece, right? And the same thing, like we have preferred SBA lenders, right? We can go out there and go ahead and greenlight that pretty quickly before we even close. Now, if you want to use your own SBA lender, we won't restrict you because technically the loan is underneath that borrower, right? But we can also put a second lender in place as well, like as a backup. And in fact, truthfully told, we have about 5 lenders that we work with. We have one that is our 100% preferred lender that we go to with every deal, say, hey, look at it, tell me if you greenlight this, good, send me my letter that you're good to go with it. But in the same breath, I actually have 4 other ones that I send it to and I say, hey, just so you know, this is under LOI right now. Take a peek, let me know if you like it. If you like it, send me a pre-approval letter and we'll kind of go from there. And I leave those on the backside. So like our borrowers don't even know that's there, but we have it there in the event our borrower cannot go get their own refi, right? That we've already put some places, some things in place to go ahead and hedge our bet, because the most important thing we can do is protect that exit of our bridge loan. So
Thanks, Darren.
yeah.
Something
lot
I
of
just wanted, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to add to what Darren said. A lot of that, brings the security to our co-lenders, right? And that's why our co-lenders really love partnering with us and having us as the lead lender. It's because obviously we're doing all the back office stuff, but the security of our product and the short term of our product is really advantageous, right? Because we found a gap in the market, we are able to offer equity-like returns in a credit setting, right? Which is very, very exciting. So because we're senior secured on the business itself. So first position for all my real estate people, it's a very short-term loan. So we eliminated a lot of the operational risk. And as Judah was mentioning, for our co-lenders as well, the exit is already quantified, right? It's not theoretical. It's like, hey, I hope I'm going to sell this on the open market, or I'm going to flip this, or I'm going to refi. We have that approval going into the acquisition. So it's a very safe, secure offering for our co-lenders. And that's another reason why they love partnering with us, because it's completely passive for them as private money lenders or co-lenders.
Maggie, to answer your question, we're right now doing deal sizes anywhere from about $500,000 all the way up to about 1.5 million. So it just depends on the size of the acquisition of the business. So
and I should add to that, Maggie, that doesn't mean that you have to come in with $1 million, right? You're going to be monetized a portion of the loan. So let's just hypothetically say Darren sees $1 million loan come across his desk. You can buy a portion of that loan and be pari passu to all the other lenders, right? So let's just say $1 million loan comes down, Shane comes in and he brings in 200,000. Maggie, you could bring 50,000, and we all fill out that loan. You guys have acting in a passive capacity. We're doing all the heavy lifting, and everybody participates in the returns pro rata to what they allocated.
Thank you.
Yep.
Aurora, does that kind of answer your question too? I know you popped that in. And participation size and so forth. And length of terms, we typically will issue our bridge loans from 4 to 6 months. We typically try to get them out, like I said, and sooner than that, obviously, right? But we'll typically write them for 4 months with an extension to 2 more months, so a total of 6 months, so 4 to 6 months. And the minimum, it's really, I would say, whoever you got this link from, kind of talk to Lauren about it and stuff like that. Like all those minimum investments and stuff. Everyone has a slightly difference of opinion on how much they want to bring in. So talk to Lauren and she'll tell you how much, but she would like to set as a minimum. So.
Yeah, and something else I just kind of wanted to throw out there is our borrowers have seen the other side and believe in this product so much that we've actually had them come in and be co-lenders. So they're essentially double dipping, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have the next deal that's coming down the line has that exact scenario going on, where the borrowers had put aside a few $100,000 when they were thinking about doing a typical acquisition loan, right? And they were ready to kiss that $200,000 goodbye and hopefully get it back in a matter of a few years. But once we came to them with the ability to fund 100% of the acquisition, and then they realized they could also participate on the loan, right? Buy a portion of the loan and borrow from themselves, earn annual interest on the debt, and then get that capital back out in a matter of months instead of saying, hey, I hope I earn it back in 5 years. They were all in. So they are, for lack of a better term, double dipping, which is really exciting, earning annual monthly interest to themselves off the debt, but also in a borrower position, keeping all the equity. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So like Maggie, when you were talking about how you were looking at the buy business, right? Well, when you go buy a business, most lenders are going to require you put some skin in the game, right? Some form of a down payment, right? So instead, these borrowers that are doing this deal with us, instead of putting their money in as a down, they're putting it into a loan with us. So they're going to co-lend with us, right? And now they now have essentially bought a business with no money out of their pocket, right? And they're going to go make money on the money that they were going to use as a quote unquote down payment, right? So instead of using it as a capital contribution to acquire the business, they just became co-lenders and they made money on it, right? Instead, and they're getting it back, right? So when you go buy a business as a capital contribution, like quote unquote down payment, that stays in the business essentially until you go sell it, right? Like you don't get that equity back, right? But in this case, when you co-lend with us, you actually get your equity back, right? Kind of a situation, which is really cool. And it's really exciting about our product, right? So you get a business that cash flows and you made some money on your down payment, which is pretty cool. So Sophie, go for it.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So I do a lot of lending and I work with a lot of different clients already in the real estate world, development and stuff like that. I was looking at the website. Is this particular product just for the bridge loan for the businesses, or do you guys also lend on other types of investments like real estate, private money lending for development and stuff like that?
Yeah, primarily our thesis is surrounded by business acquisitions.
Okay.
If the business comes with real estate, we'll also look at it. So a good example of this, someone hit up Judah and I over Instagram and asked us if they would do self-storage. And we said, yes, we'll do self-storage because self-storage is a business and it's real estate, right? And so we love that kind of security, but just strictly real estate in itself, we won't do, just because we don't necessarily want to become landlords, right? We want to
So
become
do you
like,
guys do with real estate, would that include mobile home parks, RV parks then? Would that be considered real estate
yes,
then? With
yep,
the business? Okay.
yeah,
All right. Thank you, Darren.
yeah,
And if I can add to that to kind of clarify a little bit about our product, at the end of the day, we're a transactional exit-based lender. So uh, with a lot of real estate bridge loans, you see that the exit isn't yet lined up. It's just planned for or hoped for. They got to get through the project first. That's kind of the stuff we wouldn't look at it's not ready for to go to the exit lender. That we're solving a time issue and also mechanically morphing the transaction into something that's more palatable for the exit lender and for the borrowers. As these boys mentioned, a buyer can put money into their own deal as a co-lender and get that liquidity back that they couldn't get before. And our most recent funding, our borrower got more money than they ever could have got going straight to the SBA for an acquisition transaction, right? Because now it's a refi transaction rather than an acquisition transaction. And so some of the mechanical things that our process brings and our product brings, it starts as one thing, morphs it into another, which opens the door for more opportunity that didn't exist. But that exit plan has to already be in place rather than planned for or hope for or a big old long list of check items that need to be fulfilled first, which is what happens a lot in developments, right? And so that's kind of why we steer away from that. But acquisitions of, a real estate based business, those are definitely, things that we'd look for.
Yeah, and I think going off of that too is what, kind of what we've talked about is how safe we are, right? Is we're doing so much on the due diligence side of the borrower, the business, right? So that we know that exit's there. We know it's going to happen. We're not letting just every Joe Schmo come in and go, hey man, I want to go buy a business. Like, let me do it. We've gotten through deals where we'll get through, we'll underwrite it, we'll look at it, we're excited about it. We'll go do a background check on the buyer and comes back where we're like, nope, we don't feel safe with this, or we can't do it. There's too many hoops to jump through, because it's very important for us to keep the money safe, right? That exit safe for these co-lenders. So that's how detailed we get. It's not everybody can come in, right? Is they've got to be qualified. They've got to understand, that what's on the table for them is, that we are going to be exiting. We're going to put them in a good place, and we know that we're doing our due diligence on both sides, whether it's the business or the borrower.
So, Judah, I have another quick question. Like, what is the cost of the capital then? Like, whether it's for myself or like client that's, using your service, like what's like the typical interest or terms? I know that's a broad question, but like, what is like the range that you guys are, lending out on, or, what's the cost of the capital?
I'm going to let Ryan speak on that a little bit, but I can tell you this. The cost of the capital for the product that we give is invaluable to what we provide. So I'll let Ryan speak
Correct.
to the numbers a little bit, but it makes it, again, I think, going back to the big thing is cost wise, you're really not thinking about that because we're building that into the exit. So you're coming into these deals
Okay.
with nothing. So I'll let Ryan speak on the rest though.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We typically charge to the borrower a 10% origination and anywhere between 1% and 3% simple interest a month, depending on the deal. Right. And borrowers are more than happy to pay that a lot of times, only because you'd have to raise that 10%, right? And most likely 10 or 12% simple interest, especially because we're getting them the liquidity in a very short period of time. And then they just service our debt for 2 or 3 months and it's complete home run before they're set up with long-term financing. Now, another reason why our co-lenders love that is because that's an equity-like return, right? 2% a month, or anywhere between 1% to 3% simple interest a month. That's an equity-S return in a credit setting. Right. So our co-lenders are ecstatic about all of that because that's what we can return to them on a monthly basis. And the borrowers all the same, right? They can get into the acquisition much quicker. They don't have to go raise the 10%. We're in effect raising it for them. And then they just service our debt for 60 days before they're set up with their long-term financing. So it's a pretty advantageous process for all parties involved, both borrower and co-lender.
So, Ryan, let me ask you this. So basically, this product is the client doesn't need to come with any cash to close, correct? Like,
The-
except for, their CPA and attorney fees, you guys are putting, or is that something that you guys also wrap up into like the down payment, or is it just like the down payment to the business?
That is deal dependent. Sometimes Darren does a lot of that, and sometimes factor additional things in. Darren, if you want to talk to that, but yes, Sophie, in theory, no money out of pocket. And Darren, maybe you want to talk about a few other line items you bake into the loan.
Yeah. I mean, those loan origination fees include a lot of those things, right? So like we have essentially quote unquote transaction coordinators, right? Slash, they're really business development. People
Okay.
help, but they kind of help follow that pipeline that's in there, right? In regards to like attorney fees, CPA fees, right? That might happen in the course of like due diligence. Those fees, if your vendors are willing to take it at closing, we can pay them at closing and roll it into the loan, right? That's a
Okay.
possibility, right? But they do have to know, like, if we roll those fees into the loan of the principal, they're still paying on it, right? Kind of situation. So
Correct.
if we're at 10 to 12.5% loan origination, they're paying on that, right? On that simple interest, that's 1 to 3%, they're still paying on that, right? So they just have to be cognizant, right? If they really want it to be a $0 out of their pocket, yeah, we can do it for them, right? But no, there's going to be a cost of capital, right? So,
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Darren.
yep.
And Darren,
Yeah,
you can probably touch on Eduardo's question about collateral he was curious about.
yeah, and I can speak to that specifically. It's one of my
Okay.
favorite questions. Yeah, so there is collateral. So generally in an operating business, generally speaking, the largest collateral that a business has is accounts receivable, right? Or cash on hand or some of those type of things. It's all the stuff on a balance sheet. When we lend in these acquisitions, there is no other lender. We make sure that all other lien holders, all other UCC filings are gone, and we are, as Ryan mentioned before, in the senior secured position. A lot of times in real estate, they'll call that first, right? You're in first position. But the way we perfect that security or claim our collateral, which in these cases is everything that business is, all its IP, all its future sales, past sales, everything you can think of. You know, some of our financing statements say any of the minerals under the ground, right? Like it is everything. It's very, very encompassing that anything and everything is collateral for the loan. In addition to that, we have personal guarantees from the borrower, right? And so um, it's a little bit different business acquisitions where there's not one specific asset, it's all the assets. You know, take for example, a plumbing company is going to have a fleet of vehicles. That is going to be collateral, but how we make sure that collateral is ours is through a process called perfecting the security. And every different type of collateral piece requires a different type of procedure for perfecting that security. And that's what we do. And that's what a lot of my job is the mechanical pieces of our lending. And so I go in there and I make sure that we're on the title of those pieces of equipment, that our UCC financing statement is clear as to what all of our collateral is, so that it could not go be double financed or recollateralized. We broadcast to the world that that is our collateral, and the borrower agrees to it through our security agreement. When we That's part of our doc stack in our loan docs, right? And so we go through everything. Everything is collateral, and we go through the perfection process as needed to make sure that collateral is truly ours.
So Maggie has a question as well. Russ, if you want to answer that.
So it says, does the title get transferred once the SBA loan is closed? So yeah, however the collateral's tied up to us, we give, sometimes it's done via what's called an intercreditor agreement. Sometimes it's a reassignment of the UCC filing. Sometimes it's just a release. We just give the SBA lender a release that's active upon closing. And then that that release gives them permission to file what's called a UCC3, and that can modify or negate ours. But yeah, all of that is taken care of via paperwork and agreements. When the SBA comes in and pays off our loan, all that collateral is transferred to them. But we tie it up so that they're only going to fund when we release, right? That's how we make sure our exit comes accurately, and we get those funds directly from the SBA.
Thank you.
And I see Darren already answered Eduardo's question, and the answer is no, Eduardo. And it's you're not investing, you're co-lending, right? You're a lender. And that's what's great about being a lender and participating in a loan, that it's not governed by the SEC. It's not a security. So if you co-lend with us, you're not accredited or not non-accredited, you're neither. You are a lender. And we're working together in like a JV agreement, for lack of a better term, two lenders working together, which is pretty cool.
And one way to find some more information in co-lending, the internet's riddled with information on the technical term is loan participations. So we operate under a participation agreement. You can Google loan participations and you'll find that this is how the vast majority of banks operate and how loans are funded in the upper markets. I've done a lot of participations, both on the receiving end and on the funding end. 50% of my lending portfolio was being a participant being a co-lender for quite a while. And so it's something that's extremely popular. It's used all over the place. We're excited about bringing it to other parts of the market. It's generally done at much higher levels on much larger funding events, but it opens the door as a lender to increase the value, diversification, and income streams of your lending portfolio, right? So you may not individually be able to lend on $1 million business acquisition, but you can lend up via participation. You can be involved in it, get the same sense of security, the same benefits that come out of that lending event, pari passu on what you can do. And so that I love participations. It's one of my favorite things. I built a fund around it, right? And so that's what we did as a participation fund. And so it's a great mechanism. There's lots of information outside of what we're sharing here on loan participations themselves, and how popular, and it's something that we didn't invent loan participations, but we utilize them.
Sophie, did you have another question?
Yeah, I have another question. Is there any types of like sectors that you guys don't, sorry, that you guys don't lend on, like particularly like construction-based service businesses? Or is it a yes because you guys are doing a refinance, not an actual SBA loan?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. So yeah, we have a general lending buy box, right? Or lending box, right, per se. And there's like some general things we don't lend on, right? So like cash-based services, right, don't make good for great lending opportunities, right? And that's mainly because when it's cash, people put a lot of cash into their pocket, right? And they don't quote unquote report it, right? So therefore, it's not stated on any financial statements, whether that's a profit and loss, balance sheet, tax returns, right? And most cash-based services actually probably report either a negative to a zero profit, right? Kind of a situation. Those businesses we won't touch with a 10-foot pole. And that's because who really wants to lend on a business that doesn't show on paper or stated that they make money, right? It's not a great opportunity, right? So for the most part, we only are lending on cash flowing businesses that essentially that can show some form of a debt service, right? If they don't really debt service anywhere from a 1 point, I mean, the lowest range it really goes at 1.65. We prefer a 1.75 or a higher debt service number, right? Now, those are high cash flowing types of businesses, right? They have high profit margins, right? Kind of a situation. They typically don't have operating expenses more than 50% of their top line revenues, right? So those are the types of businesses we love to lend on. Anything in the kind of that construction service, so HVAC, plumbing, electrical, pest control, those typically have pretty good margins, and we do like those types of businesses because they're stable, right? Those aren't businesses that typically don't turn profits, right? Kind of situation. So we prefer looking at those businesses over the cash-based businesses like laundry mats or any other kind of quote unquote boring businesses,
Like
right? That like
car
Cody
wash
Sanchez
or
kind of
something
core.
like that.
Yeah,
Is there
car
any way
washes. Yeah.
that we could get like a copy of like the of like the buy box that you guys look in? Like, is there
Yeah.
any like understandable like laundry mats, maybe not car washes, or maybe car washes because there's their credit card, um, you know, setups. But like, is there like a list of stuff that you guys stay away from, or a list that you do lend, and then that way we can kind of gauge like, okay, this is something to go after. Because I have a bunch of clients requesting. That's why I'm asking for those spaces. I just kind of need like some sort of a guidelines to stay between.
Yeah. So if you can drop your email into the chat, I'll send you a short list of things. It's not super fancy. But I'll send you a short list of what
Yeah,
we
that'd
lend
be
on.
great. Thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
And again, that list is strongly correlated with what the SBA does and doesn't lend on.
Okay.
There are certain industries that they don't lend on at all, right? Like marijuana, they're not going to do that. Gambling, they don't do that. There's like, a long list of things that they just won't lend on, and neither will we because we don't have an exit lender. to come
Okay.
in, right? And so it's largely built around what will the SBA do. Some of those are prioritized, right? Like vet clinics are the easiest thing to get financed through an SBA, and then like Darren mentioned, some of these cash-based businesses that it's hard to keep track of the money. Those ones become a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, thank you.
Eduardo, sorry, go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to Eduardo's deal. Have you ever had a deal go south? In my own career, yes. I've done a lot of lending over the years. And that's I'm 99% of what I do is preparing for what happens 1% of the time. And that is what I do. We hope that I'm always wrong because I'm the naysayer. I talk about all the things that could go wrong. We always want Darren to be right and me to be wrong in our operation, but we're always prepared for us to be wrong on everything, or even just the blue aliens to come out of the sky and wreck the deal, right? Like we're prepared for those things. We have various scenarios and workout strategies that we would do in case of a distress or defaulted loan. Depending on, let's say the exit lender just fails to come through for whatever reason, maybe the borrower filed divorce, the week of closing, and that totally throws everything out of whack for the exit lender. If that were to happen, we would call a credit committee meeting. We'd go through the actual scenarios and nuances to make a good decision. But from experience, I would say that most likely what we would do is repaper the loan. So we would basically reissue the loan, rewrite it into something that is sustainable long-term for the business and sell it off on the secondary market, right? So we would reach out to our co-lenders and be like, this thing is got failed to be refied. Cash flows are still good in the business. It was due. The reason is the borrower filed divorce and that pushes out the SBA closing. But we're going to rewrite this loan with these new terms and then go sell it on the secondary market. We should have a liquidity event within a certain amount of, 2 months, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it takes to go get it liquidated in the secondary market. That would be a scenario that we might do. There might be other scenarios where the best case is to liquidate all the assets of the business. Our loan docs are pretty, I guess aggressive might be the word, but that's what allows us to do what we do is we can assume full control of that operating business as well. If there's some sort of operational issue, we can come in and take it over and either operate it or liquidate it or whatever the details are on the day that we need to hold credit committee on those days. Our documents let us make the best decision to navigate. And our goal is to, number one, preserve principal. Our second goal is to maximize profit in that order. And so it depends on the nuances, but we protect ourselves to be able to make those decisions when they arise, whether it's just a repackage of the loan, sell it off, or liquidate assets, go exercise our personal guarantee against a borrower, whatever it might be, right? We give ourselves those options. Sometimes it might just be that the SBA needs another 30 to 60 days, right? Maybe there was a piece of paper that was hard to track down or the borrower was annoying about getting it turned in, right? Something along those lines. We just take those details and make the decision accordingly.
Perfect. Unfortunately, we do have a hard out at 2 p.m. But Lauren, if we maybe want to reschedule, do another one, maybe one at nighttime.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great.
Yep, I can do another one and then also send out the recording as well to everyone that couldn't join us today. And to everyone that is on here, I can send out the recording as well, just so you can go back for reference.
Perfect. It was a pleasure talking to everybody.
Yeah, thank you for all joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
See you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Guys.
Thank you. Great call.